Grief arrives like a sudden storm, tearing open the quiet spaces of life. No one is ever prepared for it. It takes the familiar world and breaks it apart, leaving empty rooms where certainty once lived. Carl Jung understood grief not as an interruption of life, but as one of its most profound teachers. To Jung, grief was the moment when the psyche calls us inward. It forces us to confront the fragility of everything we depended on. The person we lose becomes a mirror, reflecting the deep attachments, fears, and hopes we carried within. And in the wake of loss, we stand exposed before the truth of our own soul. This journey through grief is not a descent into darkness, but a descent into meaning. It is an invitation to rediscover the self beneath the weight of sorrow. For in the deepest pain, the seeds of transformation are planted, and from the ruins of what was, a stronger, more conscious self can rise. This is the path Jung pointed toward, not escaping grief, but walking through it with awareness. Not pretending to be unbroken, but allowing loss to carve out the spaces where wisdom can enter. Every bond we form shapes the architecture of the psyche. We do not simply love people, we weave them into the fabric of who we are. Their presence becomes memory, routine, expectation, and comfort. They become part of the narrative through which we understand life. So when we lose them, the psyche does not simply mourn their absence, it mourns the collapse of a world it carefully built around their presence. This is why grief feels like internal chaos, a sudden rupture in identity, a tearing of emotional structures we relied on for stability. Jung taught that attachment is not weakness, it is the inevitable expression of the human soul longing to connect with meaning outside itself. But when the bond is severed, the unconscious reacts with confusion and fear. The mind searches for explanations, the heart searches for the person, the soul searches for the meaning behind the pain. This emotional disorientation is not a failure. It is the natural response to losing something or someone woven deeply into one's own being. And yet, within this wound lies the first doorway to transformation, the chance to confront the illusions and dependencies grief reveals. Grief does not only bring sadness, it awakens anger, regret, guilt, longing, and fear, emotions many people try to hide. These reactions arise from the shadow, the part of the psyche that contains all we ignore, deny, or repress. Jung believed the shadow is not evil, it is the truth we have not yet integrated, and grief, in its raw power, pulls this truth into the light. Unresolved memories resurface, buried emotions return with force, questions we avoided suddenly demand answers, and in these moments we encounter parts of ourselves we never fully acknowledged. This confrontation is painful, but it is essential, for what remains hidden controls us from the darkness, and what becomes conscious frees us. The shadow revealed through grief offers a rare gift, the opportunity to understand ourselves more deeply, to see where we depended too heavily on others for emotional meaning, to confront the fears we carried beneath the surface, and to reclaim the parts of our identity we abandoned long ago. In this way, grief becomes a mirror, showing us the truth of our inner world with undeniable clarity. To let go of someone we love is not to erase them, it is to release the part of ourselves that clung to them for identity, direction, or certainty. Letting go, in Jung's philosophy, is not forgetting, it is becoming whole again. Individuation, the journey toward becoming one's true self, often begins with grief. Loss forces the ego to confront its limitations. It reveals how we shaped our lives around another's presence, and it asks us to reclaim the parts of ourselves we entrusted to them. This process is slow. It unfolds over months or years. The psyche gradually rebalances, reorganizes, and rediscovers its own center. And in this process, something profound occurs. We begin to see life not as something happening to us, but as something unfolding through us. Letting go does not diminish the love that was shared. It deepens it, transforming it from attachment into understanding, from possession into meaning, from longing into acceptance. Through individuation, the self is rebuilt, stronger, wiser, and more alive to its own potential. And grief becomes not just a wound, but a doorway, back to authenticity. Transformation is rarely gentle. It often begins in darkness, when the psyche feels shattered and directionless. Jung described this as the alchemical stage of nigredo, the blackening, the descent, the death of old forms. In grief, this stage is unavoidable. The life we knew collapses, the ego clings to what is gone. The soul feels heavy with pain, but this darkness is not the end. It is the beginning of inner alchemy. Through reflection, the psyche starts to reorder itself. Through acceptance, the ego softens its demands. Through sorrow, compassion deepens. Through loss, the heart becomes more capable of understanding the suffering of others. This is the gold hidden within grief, the wisdom born from experience, the strength forged through vulnerability, the clarity that emerges when illusions fall away. Transformation is not sudden. It is a quiet unfolding, a slow reshaping of the inner world as the soul learns to carry both love and loss without breaking. After the long night of grief, something begins to stir within. It is subtle, like the first light before dawn, a moment of clarity, a breath that feels easier, a thought that does not hurt. This is the beginning of rebirth. Rebirth does not mean returning to who you were before the loss. It means becoming someone new, someone shaped by experience, strengthened by suffering, and deepened by reflection. In Jungian terms, rebirth is the moment when the psyche integrates the lessons of grief, when the unconscious offers back the parts of oneself that were lost in attachment, when the inner world becomes whole again. You begin to feel grounded, not because grief has vanished, but because it has transformed. It no longer pulls you backward, it gently guides you forward. Rebirth is the final gift of grief, the reminder that even in loss, life continues to move, to change, to renew itself through the courage of the human spirit. The grief is one of life's greatest teachers. It breaks us open, but it also reveals who we truly are beneath the layers of expectation and illusion. Jung believed that every loss carries meaning, not as destiny, but as evolution. The pain calls us inward, the reflection leads us deeper, and the journey through sorrow brings us closer to the truth of our own being. We do not come back from grief unchanged. We come back wiser, more compassionate, more humble, and more aware of the fragile beauty of life. To face grief is to face the very essence of what it means to be human. To survive it is to discover a strength that cannot be taught, only earned. And to come back stronger is to honor the memory of what was lost by living with greater presence, depth, and authenticity. In this way, grief does not end the story. It transforms it, and through that transformation, the soul learns to rise again.